Stanley Kubrick. The name itself conjures a myriad of emotions and thoughts among cinema lovers. Some hail him as a genius, a master of his craft, while others find his films disturbing, controversial, or even difficult to watch. But no matter which side of the spectrum you fall on, there's no denying his impact on the world of filmmaking. Kubrick's bold and often unsettling vision made him a pioneer, and his films remain some of the most analyzed and debated works in cinema history. However, despite his massive influence, Kubrick's life was shrouded in mystery, leaving behind more questions than answers. What drove his obsession with perfection? Why did he often clash with studios and actors? And could it be that Stanley Kubrick, the celebrated American director, was far more enigmatic than we ever imagined? Born on July 26, 1928, in the Bronx, New York, Stanley Kubrick's childhood was marked by his fascination with photography. His early exposure to the camera laid the groundwork for his later obsession with visual storytelling. Kubrick's father, Jacques, gifted him a Graflex camera when he was 13, a turning point that ignited Kubrick's lifelong passion for capturing images. His early love for photography would later influence his distinct and meticulous visual style as a filmmaker. Kubrick was never a conventional student. Though intelligent, he performed poorly in school and was known to be a loner. Instead of following a traditional academic path, he chose to immerse himself in books, movies, and photography. His career began at Look magazine, where he worked as a photographer in the 1940s. The job allowed Kubrick to sharpen his technical skills and develop his eye for detail, skills that would later become the foundation of his approach to filmmaking. This early experience provided Kubrick with an understanding of how to frame shots, play with light, and tell a story through images, a gift that would serve him well in his future films. But his transformation from photographer to film director wasn't instantaneous. Kubrick's early attempts at filmmaking were low-budget projects, yet they showcased his early genius. His debut feature, Fear and Desire, 1953, was a war film made on a shoestring budget. But even with its limited resources, it hinted at the themes that would define his later works: the futility of war, the complexity of the human mind, and the dark side of human nature. Kubrick's career took a significant leap forward in 1957 with the release of Paths of Glory, a harrowing anti-war film that highlighted the absurdity of military hierarchies. With this film, Kubrick began to establish his reputation as an uncompromising director with a unique vision, unafraid to tackle challenging subjects. The film starred Kirk Douglas, whose powerful performance helped draw attention to Kubrick's emerging talent. It wasn't long before Hollywood took notice. Kubrick's next major success was Spartacus, 1960, a big-budget epic starring Kirk Douglas again. However, Kubrick's relationship with Hollywood wasn't smooth sailing. Despite the film's success, Kubrick found the constraints of the studio system stifling. His demand for creative control led to conflicts with producers, actors, and studios, a recurring theme throughout his career. As a result, Kubrick made a radical decision. He moved to England, where he would live and work for the rest of his life, far removed from the Hollywood machine. In 1964, Kubrick directed one of his most controversial and beloved films, Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. This dark comedy about nuclear war pushed the boundaries of satire, blending absurd humor with the terrifying reality of Cold War politics. Kubrick had a knack for taking controversial topics and presenting them in a way that both challenged and entertained audiences. His work often blurred the line between satire and horror, forcing viewers to confront uncomfortable truths. One of the most astonishing aspects of Stanley Kubrick's career is his ability to work across a wide range of genres, from science fiction and horror to war and dystopian drama. This versatility is rare in Hollywood, where directors are often pigeonholed into specific genres. Kubrick, however, was an exception. In 1968, Kubrick redefined science fiction with 2001, A Space Odyssey, a film that is still considered a masterpiece of the genre. Working closely with science fiction writer Arthur C. Clarke, Kubrick created a vision of space exploration that was at once awe-inspiring and existentially terrifying. 2001 was notable not only for its groundbreaking special effects, but also for its deliberate pacing, minimal dialogue, and profound themes about the nature of humanity and the universe. The film raised philosophical questions that have kept audiences debating its meaning for decades. Was Kubrick predicting the rise of artificial intelligence and its potential threat to humanity? Did the film represent a cosmic journey toward enlightenment? These questions remain hotly debated, with Kubrick himself offering few answers, leaving his work open to interpretation. Kubrick continued to push boundaries with A Clockwork Orange, 1971, a dystopian nightmare about violence, control, and free will. The film's graphic depiction of sexual violence and its portrayal of a morally ambiguous anti-hero sparked outrage upon its release, leading to bans in several countries. But for Kubrick, controversy was never an obstacle. It was a tool to provoke thought and reflection. A Clockwork Orange remains one of his most disturbing and influential films, reflecting Kubrick's fearless exploration of human depravity and the dangers of authoritarianism. His venture into horror with The Shining, 1980, was equally groundbreaking. Though initially met with mixed reviews, the film has since become a cult classic. Jack Nicholson's portrayal of the unhinged Jack Torrance, combined with Kubrick's eerie use of space, sound, and isolation, makes The Shining one of the most iconic horror films ever made. Kubrick's decision to adapt Stephen King's novel was, in many ways, a risky move. King himself famously disliked the adaptation, calling it a misogynistic take on his work, but Kubrick's film ultimately transcended King's vision, becoming its own haunting masterpiece. Stanley Kubrick's final film, Eyes Wide Shut, 1999, was released posthumously, following his sudden death in March 1999 at the age of 70. The film, starring Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman, explored themes of sexual jealousy and the hidden desires lurking beneath the surface of seemingly perfect lives. As with many of his other films, Eyes Wide Shut was met with controversy and divided opinions. Some saw it as a fitting end to his illustrious career, while others felt it was a lesser entry compared to his earlier work. Kubrick's death came as a shock to the film world. He passed away in his sleep, reportedly from a heart attack, just days after completing Eyes Wide Shut. His passing marked the end of an era for cinema, but his influence endures. Directors like Steven Spielberg, Christopher Nolan, and Martin Scorsese have cited Kubrick as a major influence, and his films continue to inspire new generations of filmmakers.